Hey, welcome back to yet another daily encouragement video. My name's Lewis, and um, if you've never watched any of my videos, the goal on this channel is to provide you daily encouragement, something to hopefully uplift you, give you some encouragement as you go through your day. Now, today's going to be a little different just because as I'm recording this the day of the passing of the assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors basketball team. Also, I've seen on Facebook a friend of mine, someone that they knew, uh, a mother of two little children, uh, a wife, passed away from a heart attack as well. And I've just seen a couple other, famous celebrities that have, long old or what do you call them? Famous actors and actresses that had passed away in the last day or two, either old age or, um, just having had a medical condition or so. And it's just amazing how discouraging, death can be. As a Christian, we're encouraged at times knowing that if someone passes away, if they have a testimony that they're a Christian, there's an encouragement inside that you know that maybe the pain that they were dealing with, they're not dealing with anymore, or the difficulties that they were dealing with, they're not dealing with anymore, and it kind of acts as an encouragement to you. But you still grieve the loss of a friend, a sibling, a parent, a child, a spouse, all these different folks. It's still a loss. And by no means am I saying that you should smile or be excited whenever someone passes or anything like that, even if they're a Christian. That's not what I'm saying. What I do want to say, though, is it's always a reminder of how short life is and how we should take the advantage of the time that we have to tell the folks um, in our lives, just to remind them that we love them and to not let the little things or even sometimes the big things interfere with your friendships, relationships, whatever it is that it might be. So, with that being said, I do want to provide a verse of encouragement and a challenge, and a really strong challenge for you. And hopefully, we can do that together. Today's challenge will be from Proverbs 17, and it'll actually be verse 17. The Bible tells us, "A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." Now, we're going to break this down into two pieces. And so the first part, a friend loveth at all times. You ever have a moment where a friend really kind of aggravated you? Maybe, did some stuff that made you just go, man, why would you do something crazy like that? Because that's just silly. That's just, so annoying. I know. And if you're a friend of mine and I've done that to you, I'm sorry. It's not been a goal or a target or a purpose, but does it happen? Of course it happens. Why? It's because we're human people. We take the opportunity to be selfish. We take the opportunity to be um, self-absorbed. Whatever the negative term is that you want to use. In some instances, it's not even on purpose. Sometimes it's just we get so caught up in life that sometimes we're not the friends we should be. But here's the thing that needs to be remembered. If I'm going to be the Christian that I claim to be, if I'm going to do what my Bible tells me to do, I need to be a friend that loves at all times. See, there's a famous movie line, and I've mentioned this in a previous video or two, that, in this life we spend a lot of time thinking about ourselves. But there are situations that come up where we have to be reminded that it's not about us. See, when you have a friend going through a difficulty, you have to remember it's not about you. It's very easy to sit there and make it about you and the impact that someone's life can have on you. I know that when I go on a a drive with one of my kids. If they're suddenly thirsty, if they want to stop at a store and need to get something to drink, I don't sit there and go, well, how much money do you have in your account? Or, hey, what have you done for me lately? No, if my child has need of something, you take care of it. Why? Because it's not about you. What if you don't have enough for 2 drinks? Well, then guess what? Your child should get the drink. Maybe you can split it or whatever, but if it had to be one or the other, I'm going to take and give it to my child. Why? Because it's not about me. If all I do is go through this life and just worry about me, especially as a parent who has children, or especially if you're a husband who has a wife who has a husband, children who have parents that are still alive, parents that have children that are still alive. Do you realize if we took time to really take into consideration the other person and to be this friend that the Bible talks about and that we love at all times? Love will imply forgiveness. Love will imply support. Love will imply grace and mercy. Love will not imply bitterness. I would say anger, but I'll say wrath. 'Cause you can still be angry at a friend. I'm not going to say that you're wrong for being upset at a friend. But how far do you let that go? What do you let that anger do? If you let that anger turn into wrath and into bitterness, then you're doing wrong. A friend loveth at all times. Are you taking the time to actually show love to your friends? Or are you being mean and bitter and angry? Because if that's what you're doing, then you're doing it wrong. Now, the second part of the verse, it says, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. I've talked to my kids, and I've also talked to my siblings, and I've told them, I told my siblings, I've said, guys, I've been a pretty bad brother at times. Not that I do stuff spitefully against them or so, but I don't always keep as connected as I could or I should. In fact, part of the challenge, or part of the inspiration, I should say, of doing these videos is that even if no one else watches them, if I can get my siblings, my family to look at these and to watch these, then at least they know what my thinking is, because a lot of what you hear on here are verses that speak to me in order to get me to try to get them to speak to you, or at least to encourage you. So a true brother will show himself in a time that you need him most. I mentioned on a previous video what it was like when I was super sick in the hospital and I came to, and I felt like there was nobody there. Because literally, in the most literal sense, because of COVID, there was nobody there. Doctors obviously would come in and nurses would come in and all, but as far as someone that would be sitting right there talking with me, sitting alongside of me, there was no one physically there, just because, as I said, COVID restrictions. I don't want this to be a bad speak on family or something like that. It just was legitimately, literally, I should say, the hospital rules with COVID in there wasn't having people in there. Well, guess what? That was an adversity. And I believe if it wasn't COVID, there'd be people there, obviously. I understand that. When you look alongside and you're dealing with a struggle or a burden or a pain, and you need someone there, there's an advantage of having a brother or sister or sibling. Currently one of my best friends, if I had a serious need, I could call him up, and if he heard the phone ringing and he was able to pick it up, he would be here. And I have a few friends that are like that. And if it was an adversity, they would be there for me. But you know what I have to remember? If they're going to do that for me, I have to be willing to do that for them too. Because a brother is born for adversity. How about you today? Can someone depend on you to be there during their adversity? Or do you give up and you quit on them? The Bible says here, no. Because one, as a friend, you're loving at all times. And your brother, you're going to be a brother or sister to that person. You're there in their adversity. Anyway, that's the challenge for today from Proverbs 17:17. Thank you for taking the time to join. Hope that you have a blessed rest of your day. Take care.